NASA's thinking about COTS evolved over time. That's a really interesting aspect of this partnership. I think when we started off, it very much was a gamble. I think Mike even used the word bet. I'm going to bet on this and take this risk. And I think at the time that we started COTS, there was really no probability of success. You couldn't do any kind of analysis or probabilistic risk assessment to say how successful this was going to be in quantitative terms. You really just had to take the leap, and we did back in 2005, 2006. We did some analysis to make sure that we weren't wasting the money, that we had a credible plan that could work. But I think it wasn't sort of like a quantitative business plan that you would see in the private sector when you go up and you try and get venture capital from Wall Street. You would have to show a lot more than maybe what we had in the beginning of COTS. So it was very much, I don't like to use the word gamble, but it was a bet with a lower probability of success than we would put on other NASA programs. And I think appropriately, it was seen as a complement to our other NASA programs. At that time, we had a cargo variant of the Crew Orion that we were thinking we were going to use. Now that subsequently got canceled, which put more emphasis on our COTS cargo carrier, and then phasing out the shuttle in a date certain. Also then put more pressure on, not more pressure, but more importance on the success of COTS. So over time, incrementally, gradually, the criticality of COTS being successful grew. And certainly wasn't that way in the beginning, and that was actually important because that allowed us the flexibility to do and structure this partnership in a very innovative fashion that we might not have had the ultimate importance been placed in the beginning, right? So the fact that it was gradual and it was incremental over time, I think helped the program to a large extent. And I could see it in the way we messaged COTS. Every year we would do our budget request to Congress, and the wording changed and how we emphasized COTS and how important it was to the ultimate success, and our cargo needs changed over time. And it was really interesting to see how it came to be just this sort of backup thing, which would be a sort of a nice to have, to be sort of, then it was sort of, well, this is becoming more important, and then it became our primary means of transporting cargo to the ISS. It happened over a span of 8 years, thankfully. It didn't happen all at once, but it definitely gradually changed over time. And then I think when the Augustine Committee reviewed it in 2010, they realized how important that was, so they recommended increased funding, and Congress in the 2011 budget gave us $300 million more to mitigate the risk. It wasn't cost growth. A lot of people could characterize that as cost growth, but it wasn't. We got more stuff out of that agreement that we didn't have in the original $500 million. We asked for more things, more tests, more activity, more work to be done on the partner side, ultimately with the goal of mitigating the risk and increasing the likelihood of success. So you can see over time how that changed for NASA to the point where we were willing to actually provide more money for the partnership to help not ensure that it would be successful, but increase the likelihood that it would be successful. So that was my experience and how I viewed it here at headquarters over that time frame. It was incremental, it was gradual, and it flipped from being sort of a backup, nice-to-have option to being our primary means for transporting cargo to the International Space Station.